the wash and set here instead of wash and go, because we're not going anywhere that fast. But we're setting that curl pattern that you see when it's like shampooed and conditioned.
Probably a little rough.
Mm-hmm. Is it hard to detangle like that last couple inches?
Sometimes they get like knotty and it just
doesn't.
It's hard to comb it out.
Okay. And that's during washing and styling, like when you're in your washing and detangling.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And then what about when was your last haircut, and have you ever had a curly cut or anything like this before?
My last haircut, I would have to say probably like 2 months ago.
Okay.
When I kind of got it braided a little bit.
Yep.
Just
did they just kind of trim the ends when you did your blowout for the braid?
Yeah.
Yep. So they just did a slip. And then you said you cut out a little bit
extra when I had box braids, and I did it too short. So it really sucked.
Yeah. So that's one side, and then the other side it was okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we'll kind of even that out.
Okay.
First we'll wash and set and do and kind of go through all that education, and then once we see how your hair is doing, we can determine how much length we're comfortable taking and how much like reshaping we want to do and some of that. Okay. Are you comfortable with taking off like all of the dead, or do you not like? Does it feel like too much? Are you nervous about losing length?
Oh no, I'm fine. Yeah, cut whatever needs to be cut. Honestly,
okay.
Yeah.
And then we'll have this like healthy and cute shape.
Yes.
And that's the goal.
Yes.
Okay. Yay. And then do you have any questions or concerns, or like are you nervous about the appointment? Have you had bad experiences? Like what's your
No, I'm good, honestly. I used to be tender-headed, but now I'm not anymore. So yeah, you can do whatever.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
We like very gentle like styling, so that'll be good.
Okay,
you'll be
perfect.
Fine either way.
Okay.
And then it sounds like we'll just kind of make some decisions along the way together.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. All right, we'll go to the shampoo bowl. So I'm going to show you, I'm going to kind of take my time, get your hair wet, see how much water actually the hair will take.
Okay.
And usually with oils, butters, waxes, and silicones, the hair becomes waterproof.
Okay.
So it won't take on water. And that's why your wash and set won't last, because it actually, once the hair starts to repel the water, if it can't get wet, then it can't stay wet. And when I mean like, if it can't get wet when you're actually doing this, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Then it doesn't get hydrated here at the bowl. And if it can't get hydrated here at the bowl, then we end up with kind of the water evaporating so fast from your set that you don't end up with definition for very long.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a battery, right? Like a brand new battery on a phone.
Right.
It lasts for days, right? The battery lasts, even if you use it all day, it's still going to last, right?
Right.
An older battery is going to, you can charge it to 100, and then within minutes it can go to 0, right?
Right.
So we think of like the hydration and the amount of water your hair can, one, how much charge can it take? How much hydration can it even take?
Okay.
2, how long can it hold on to that hydration? So the longer that it can hold on to the hydration, the more days and the more definition you're going to have.
Okay.
Water will always evaporate from anything, but we want it to, we don't want your hair to stay wet for several days, but we want it to stay hydrated, which means that the inside of the hair, so there's the medulla, then there's the cortex, and then there's the cuticle. We want the cortex to have hydration for several days. So that means that the hair feels dry on the outside, but is hydrated on that cortex level. So that's what we're looking for right now. Your hair is not retaining any water, which is totally typical. Most curlies that come see me, their hair, it doesn't matter if they're wavy all the way to tight curly. If they're using any oils, butters, waxes, or silicones, their hair won't hold water. So do you see how I'm getting your hair wet?
Yeah.
But if you look really closely, you'll see the beads of water all off the hair.
Yeah.
We've been getting your hair wet for a few minutes now, and I'm pushing the water in too. I'm trying to push it in. So that's another thing. But you'll see as I like within seconds it's drying. You see that your hair is completely dry.
Yeah.
And there's big beads of water coming off your hair.
Yeah.
So that is 100% normal, just because most curlies for thousands of years we've been taught to use oils and butters on our hair. The problem is that it won't allow water in. And if it won't allow water in, so even on your more like, this is your tighter pattern, and then in here is your looser pattern, but it's still drying within seconds.
Right.
So it's not that, oh, well, that's just my tight curls. Do you see this? There's still tons of beads. There's so many beads coming off of that hair too.
Okay.
So even though this one hangs juicier, it's not actually getting water either. It's all coming off the, yeah. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah, wow.
And so what I want for you and for everyone with curly hair is to be able to, their hair to be able to get wet and stay wet. And it's not just about having low porosity or high porosity hair. So usually folks will, the first thing they'll think is, well, I just have really low porosity hair, so my hair won't get wet and it won't stay wet. The thing about that is you can't test true porosity with hair that has oils, butters, waxes, or silicones on it, because those things cover the hair. And once the hair is covered, then you can't test porosity, because they'll kind of give you almost like a false low porosity result, because oil and water doesn't mix, right?
Right.
And so anytime you have it on your hair, that means that whether your hair is naturally low porosity or not, it doesn't, you're not getting to test that, because you have something that's a barrier, that's a waterproof barrier. So think of like a raw piece of wood, right? We take that raw piece of wood and we put oil on it and rub oil into it so that we can cook on it. And so that it becomes a waterproof surface that's safe and sanitary to cook on, right? So that same thing is happening to our hair. Our hair is porous and it absorbs the oil, and sometimes it'll even absorb, if it's a small molecular weight oil, it'll absorb it into the cuticle layer and then through the cuticle layer into the cortex. But most of the time you're just working on different layers of cuticle. So the lower it goes in the cuticle layers, the harder it is to get out. The next time you shampoo, you actually don't get out any of the oils or butters.
Oh, wow. Okay.
You just get them off the top surface, right? Like cleaning the, let's say you have your raw piece of wood, you put oils on it, you cook on it, you clean it off with Dawn dish soap. It's not going to turn back into a raw piece of wood. It's still a waterproof surface, and it's just happens to be clean now.
Right.
What we want though is we want to extract the oils and the butters and the waxes and the silicones so that we can actually get water into the hair shaft. And once the water comes into the hair shaft, then the curls can be hydrated and stay hydrated on their own. And then you just use some gel to give you definition. Since you've been on oils and butters for a long time, it takes 3 to 6 months to get that out. So even though I'm going to do these clarifying treatments now, you would actually have to become 100% detoxed from oils and butters, waxes, and silicones for 3 to 6 months for your hair to even be able to fully absorb water again.
Okay.
So it is not a short-term fix. This is not like a quick little fix. And if you go back to oils and butters, you go back 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
So box braids and braids we would want to avoid for a long time. If you do end up wanting to get braids, you would want to see if you can find a braider who's willing to use like a braiding gel that doesn't have the heavy oils and butters in it, because a lot of braiding gels have wax and butters to keep them heavy and to keep that slick and that slip.
Right.
Which totally makes sense. But the problem is if you want to wear your natural curl pattern and we want that hydrated, then we can't block it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I think braids are super important, and and they're, a deep tradition that needs to be preserved, but doing it with the right product will be able to also preserve your natural texture while wearing braids. Does that make sense? Butters, waxes, and silicones are all anti-humectants, which means they repel water. So they are not hydrators and they are not moisturizers. They are lubricants. So scientifically, if you looked up lubricants, they would be in that class. Things that are moisturizers and hydrators are things like glycerin, aloe vera, hyaluronic acid, honey. Those are humectants, which means they draw water in. So scientifically, anti-humectants are lubricants and humectants are hydrators. And so that's why we want to look for hydrating products in your shampoo, conditioner, and stylers.
Okay.
That way you don't end up with dehydrated hair over time that can't absorb water together and give you these beautiful, juicy curls that you have, right?
Right.
So I want you to feel your hair because most people are shocked that you can detangle your hair with clarifying shampoo, but you can. So go ahead and feel. I want you to feel your hair all the way up and down. You feel how much silk and slip that has?
Yeah.
So your hair's not hard.
Right. Okay.
And your hair's not heavy, but it's still slippery.
Yeah. Wow.
So you can grab it a little bit harder. I want you to feel and really get to know your hair. So that's what you want your hair to feel like.
Okay. Wow.
And then the goal of that is once you have that, do you see how I can completely detangle your hair?
Yeah.
And I haven't even done your trim yet. So this is with all of the damage and everything that's in your hair, and it's totally detangled.
Wow. Okay.
So you should be, and do you see the motions that I'm doing?
Yes.
So when you shampoo, you should be using your thumb and finger and pulling. So this is called massaging. So you want to massage your hair really hard. So I'm going to use your finger and I'm going to show you how hard I'm massaging.
Okay.
So very hard down your hair like this.
Okay.
What that does is it makes it feel like butter, right? So now I have your hair sleek. Then I'm going to rake. And once I rake, then it's completely detangled.
Okay.
Your hair is like super easy to detangle. Not everyone is this easy. So let's say someone else has a lot of tangles. What we would do is we would do that massaging that's very hard. Lots of pressure. But is it pulling at your scalp? Does it hurt?
No.
Okay. So lots of pressure on the hair, but not a lot of pressure in one spot on your scalp.
Okay.
And then rake. If there was tangles, I would actually hurt the tangles. Okay. You just don't have any for me to show. Because your hair is super, super easy to detangle, which is awesome. So yeah, now that you know how to detangle with shampoo, you can actually take your time and use the shampoo, and then you can still do a nice scalp massage.
Okay.
Out and detangled, then I go through a nice scalp massage while I hold the ends so that it doesn't retangle up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Texture, right? So I'm going to kind of see if I can work back in the back of your hair and see if I can get any tangles that I can show. Okay, so I'm going to lift you up a little. So once I do, this is the thing, once I do the massaging on your hair, it just lets go of everything. So your hair's not, I'm not able to get my fingers through your hair at all until I do this massaging, that hard massage that I did on your fingers. And then I rake, and then it just rakes right through.
Okay. Wow.
So see, look, I don't know if you can see, but I'm pulling hard. That hurts your head probably, especially if you were tender-headed. I can't do anything.
Okay, yeah, no.
You feel that? So I can't get my fingers through your hair at all.
Yeah.
Instead of ripping through it with a brush, I actually just go hard like this. And I split that into two sections. So I'm going to go nice and hard like this. And then I'm going to take this section, go nice and hard like this. Your hair starts to feel buttery soft. This was about the size I was taking. Now watch. I put my fingers through and I can go right through. If I can't, that's good. I found a tangle. Then I open it up gently, so it should not rip or make any sounds like ripping sounds. And then I can go back through. Okay. Down, up and down. Really like feel it and like really get to know that piece of hair. Try to remember it because I'm going to do my massaging, and then you're going to feel it after I massage. Okay. Okay. So I can feel it starting to turn into butter now. Okay, go ahead and feel it. Does it feel different?
Yeah.
And then you can rake through it now when I couldn't even get my fingers in it before. Okay, now go ahead and feel it again. See how it feels like?
Yeah, it's way more
different hair.
Yeah, softer.
Yep.
Wow, okay.
So this is how your hair should feel while you're shampooing. And you should take your time in shampooing. Okay, go ahead and lay back. You should take your time with shampooing. The reason why is because shampooing all the way down the hair shaft allows for water to enter all the way down the hair shaft. So the trick is shampoo gets water in, conditioner locks water in. Okay. That's it. No lock method, no creams, no butters, no oils after. There's two things. Shampoo gets it in, conditioner locks it in. Okay. That's it. Then the gel actually acts like another layer of holding the curl pattern that you're going to have when your hair's wet after we're done is going to get locked in with the gel. Okay. So we're making the curl pattern that we want to see with your shampoo and conditioner. Like, do you see how pretty that curl pattern is? Yeah. We're making that curl pattern. Then the gel just locks that curl pattern in. Okay. And then it gets set under a hood dryer. Mm-hmm. There we go. Okay.
It feels really good.
Mm-hmm. Hair should look like, but it should also be able to stay. And right now, for the next 3 months, your hair won't be able to stay. Okay. Because it's been. So there's no natural texture that comes out of someone's head that will mat up. And by what I mean by that is you can have hair that naturally will lock over time, but that's because it's not being like detangled. But as far as like hair textures, there's no texture that healthy will not be able to be detangled like this, right? What happens though is that the hair that gets a lot of damage or severe dehydration, it will actually start to, I call it Velcroing. It kind of Velcros on itself. And luckily, I don't see that with your hair. It's not happening much. But with some folks' hair, their hair feels like it's hard to manage because they're dealing with matting and Velcroing versus their actual texture that's growing out of their head doesn't do that. It doesn't Velcro right at the root. Unless some sort of chemical damage was done or mechanical damage with like maybe braids or they left their braids in for too long, or there are times where damage can happen all the way to the root. But a lot of the times what you'll see is people who their hair is really easy to detangle through here, and then all of a sudden it's just completely matted through the ends, and that's when they really, really, really need a haircut.
Like, I guess a scalp scrub, like those like, do they help or are they pointless?
Well, a lot of times I like to get to the bottom of why someone needs a scalp scrub, right? It's kind of like someone taking allergy medicine, but they don't have allergies. Okay. Or if they do have allergies and they always chronically take allergy medicine, but they could just like stop eating dairy, or they could just, something else could fix the problem. Right. So I always like to get to the bottom of why it's happening and if they actually need a scalp scrub, one, and then if they do, why? Why is their scalp itchy, or why do they have flakes, or why do they have dandruff, or why do they have psoriasis? Because a lot of times that's happening from an autoimmune response to something that they're putting on their hair or their scalp, or it's an autoimmune response that's happening internally inside their body. So if you don't have any scalp issues to be doing a scalp scrub with, then you don't need to use one at all ever. If you want to do it for fun and you're just having a girls' night or whatever, and you want to like have some fun, then just do it with one that has the safe ingredients. So the glycerin, the aloe vera, the hyaluronic acid, the honey, the like humectant based ones that are going to be water soluble, that are going to have like, you're just going to get a nice little vibe, but you're not going to ruin your curl pattern by doing it.
Right, okay. Like, what else should I use if like not oils and butters?
So you're going to end up over time. It's kind of, I think of it like someone who wears too much makeup to cover up their acne, right?
Mm-hmm.
We use oils and butters in that same way. It's covering up the dehydrated hair. And so it makes it feel really shiny. It makes it have a lot of slip. It makes it like look good in the moment. But what happens over time is it actually causes the acne, just like, or the frizz, to be worse.
Okay.
So what we want to do is we want to heal your hair, and then you're not going to need something to replace oils and butters because you will have healthy, hydrated hair. Now that does take, like I said, 3 to 6 months. Some people it can take up to a year.
Okay.
And during that time, what we use instead of oils and butters and waxes is we use humectant-based gels. So heavy hold gels and really like shiny gels. They're going to give you a really pretty finish. Like glycerin and aloe vera, they actually create this film over the hair that is shiny and beautiful, but it's water soluble. So as soon as water hits it, it's gone out of the hair. You don't have to use shampoo to get it out even.
Wow,
So
okay.
that's why we don't want things like oils, butters, waxes, silicones that you have to use something super harsh, like this pH is 9. This is a harsh shampoo in the sense of compared to just using water to get it off, right?
Right.
So
okay.
I don't want my clients to have to use clarifying shampoos to get back to their natural. I want them to use products that just come right out with water.
Okay.
So that's my goal for my clients is over time you're using gels and you're using shiny things, but it's shiny things that are water soluble.
Okay.
So glycerin is very shiny. Aloe vera is very shiny. There's a lot of humectants that are shiny, but you just don't want them to be. You want the humectants that are shiny instead of the oils and butters that are shiny.
Are you using like a comb or anything?
Yep, we're going to use a brush once we condition.
Okay.
So I always do a lot of detangling right when I'm shampooing, but that's not. It usually gets us to about 80 to 90% detangled, and then conditioner with a brush will get us to 100% detangled.
Okay.
These are great questions.
So I know like sometimes people do treatments like I guess vinegar treatments or like egg and avocado, like those.
Yes.
Do those actually help? Like what do they do?
Yes. So the reason people do that is because, for instance, egg has protein in it, right? So they're like,
Right.
oh, I'm going to do a protein treatment. The problem is that our bodies, right, take egg, you put it in your mouth. Our mouths have an incredible amount of digestive enzymes in our mouth. Then it goes into our stomach. Our stomach has the most intense stomach acid, right, and digestive enzymes in our stomach that break down that egg and then extract the protein from the egg. And then our body has to then absorb that through our lower intestine, our large intestine, lower intestine, right?
Right.
That is an incredible amount of work
Right.
that our body does to digest the food, to break it down so that we can actually get to the nutrients. Our hair has absolutely none of that, right?
Right.
Our hair is a group of dead cells. So you're putting on something, anything that you find in your kitchen, you're putting on your hair, whether it has the most incredible nutrients in the world, it doesn't matter because your hair cannot break it down, cannot extract those nutrients, and cannot absorb them.
Right.
So it's better for you to eat all that stuff and give your body the nutrients it needs to make really healthy hair and keep your follicles really healthy. But it is absolutely ridiculous and makes no sense when it comes to putting it on your hair.
Okay.
And that's only because I don't say the people are ridiculous. I'm saying that the like folks who kind of professionals who tell people to do these kind of things don't understand science. Okay. So X, Y, Z, and D, and E, and F, and J to break this down to receive this thing. And all we can do with our hair is just put something on and then hope that it absorbs into our cuticle layer and then into our cortex. The reason why cosmetic chemists exist is because, one, they keep us safe from like the product not rotting and creating bacteria and fungus inside the bottle. Okay. So they keep us safe that way. Two, they break down and they break down the proteins for us. So in the chemistry lab, they break down proteins, they break down molecules, they break down things so that it can actually enter the cuticle layer and then go into the cortex and work on the hair. But that's all done in a cosmetic chemistry lab with cosmetic chemists, not with, somebody in their kitchen.
I do have another question.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to like how often should you like trim your hair? Like would it affect your curls in any way?
Yes. So you can actually we'll look at your hair for an example, right? So we have in this back area where your looser curl is, you have a nice curl pattern here, here. Everything's really like done really nice and even, right, throughout your whole hair. Then you start to see these ends, and you can kind of see how they get see-through. So there's not as much density, right? There's a lot of density here, middle, and then almost none. That is from breakage. So that's why you were saying it's hard to detangle your hair. And it's only hard for the last couple inches probably on your hair. Some folks, they have this kind of breakage all the way up their hair, all the way to here, right? So they're having a whole different issue. The other thing that can happen, see how that curl pattern is looser? Yes. Okay. So let me show you in your like looser curl pattern area, just because you can see the length. So you see how even the curl pattern is all the way down, right? And then all of a sudden we start to get a little bit more see-through in this area. So you can actually see where it's like completely full here, and then it goes to like 50%, and then it goes to 25%. That's because it hasn't been trimmed, so that's breakage. So it goes from all of the hair to about here, and then to 50%, and then to 25%. So the last 3 inches of your hair have a lot of breakage. Now, some people have that kind of breakage all the way up to here. So they might have 100%, then 50%, and then all of this just 25% of their hair. So you would just have these little tiny strings of hair. The other thing that can happen besides like how density changes, you can also have where the curl pattern itself is stretched. So you can kind of see it here where the curl pattern itself is more stretched and elongated. That's because it's damaged and it doesn't have the same elasticity, and it's not as healthy as the rest of the hair. So getting trims stops, you cut that where it's at. Then if you get a tiny little trim every 3 to 4 months, especially while you're like rehabbing and like hydrating your hair, you want to get it every 3 to 4 months. We do these little baby trims, and we're taking off any little damage that might become a bigger deal and go up the hair. So in the end of your hair, like splitting a banana peel. And I don't know if you've ever had a really long banana, right? And you're like, oh man, I don't want to eat that whole banana. I'm just going to peel it. And then you're like, oh, I don't want it all. So you stop peeling it and you cut it. And then wherever you cut, if you cut past so let's say this part is peeled and then you cut here, then the banana skin is wrapped back around the banana tight, right? And there's no cut. And so if you take a banana and you just peel it, you can peel it all the way really easy. If you take a banana that's sealed, it's hard to peel it, like really hard to peel it. That's what we want. We want your ends to be cut blunt and really like sealed, and so that you don't just have those easy to peel and easy to break all the way up the hair shaft. Okay, so here's the Natural Tech Nourishing Shampoo. You don't need a lot. I'm using more than I really need. Rub it in your hands and like really kind of get that going and sudsy, and you kind of see the product change. Then you rub that through your hair. And with like high density, I rub it through the inside of the hair too. So you don't just do the outsides, but you also do the insides. And then you kind of rub it around in like 4 quadrants. So the middle, and then a little bit on either side, all the sides. Then if the hair, right now your hair is so wet from the clarifier, if though when you use it at home and your hair is not wet enough, you just add a little water like that and then brush through. Ready? Okay. Move through the hair really easily because you've added water, shampoo, water. So that's always, remember that. Water, product, water. Water, product, water. Because these products are very concentrated, and so they work really well with when paired with water. Right now it's moving through super easy because we've already done this so many times. And your tighter curl pattern all through here. And then you start to lose your curl strength here.
Okay.
And that's because it hasn't been trimmed, and maybe even just from like braids. Like if you do excess braids or excess heat or excess stretching or excess water, there's a lot of reasons why it would get like that, but this means that it's not as strong.
Okay.
So is that normal for you to see outside of it, like witch's conditioner on your hair?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're used to seeing this curl pattern?
Yeah, and then after I rinse it out, it kind of
It's gone?
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're going to rinse it, and then within seconds, you only have seconds, so you wanna have your gel open
Okay.
and ready. So you just keep your gel open and ready to like go. In seconds, you're going to put the gel on your hair.
Okay.
Because your hair can't hold water yet. So that's why as soon as you rinse out the conditioner, it looks dry when you get out of the shower. Because it's drying that fast. From you getting rinsing to you getting out, it's already dry. So I rinse out the conditioner. I'm not like super trying to rinse it 100% out, but I'm also not trying to leave a bunch in. And then
Do they like a setting gel?
Yeah, they have a couple different gels that we like. Like harder hold and like
I just take my time and get enough gel and like all the way through.
the one we do.
So this is a hard hold gel. This is going to give you weight, and so it's going to give you the most definition.
Okay.
But it's really soft, so it's which is nice because nobody likes something like you just wash your hair and it feels
So now I'm doing the same exact thing where I rake, take my time, rake it through.
So we don't really do like leave-ins or curl creams because those are they might give you a little bit of hold on day one, but they're mostly weight.
Then I brush it through.
That long-lasting definition. And then mousses are they have hold, but it's not a lot of hold, so that's if you want like mostly volume and you're not as concerned about getting a lot of definition. Okay. Which is nice to be like,
I'm gonna let you feel this. Go ahead and feel this section and feel how much gel is in there. It's very jelly. So you want the hair, you want it to feel more jelly than hair.
Right.
Okay.
And add the copper gel. That's what we call the copper gel. It's like you're kind of putting a glob in. It's really shiny, so it's gonna be really nice for your hair because your hair's pretty, I mean, it wants to be curly, so you don't need the serious weight that the Gel Plus can give. So adding this topper gel just gives you this really shiny finish that's nice. It won't give as much elongation if you put it in the way I just put it in. But I'm going to brush your hair, then I reclump your curls, then I lay them down. And then if they're not feeling weighted enough, I will actually be base gel. So it's kind of this fine balance, and I'm not doing a lot of base gel. Oh, just that little, see those little, that little lumps?
Okay.
So and I'm doing that in this section, just section by section in the back. But I'll show you on the side, so you can see better what I'm doing.
Are you gonna do that, or should I ask questions about it?
Yeah, I can do it on you.
Okay. Yeah, try to figure out like the medium probably run through. And then if this.
We're actually the base gel, so I'll show you.
Yeah, yeah. Oh.
Lumps together.
Okay.
If you want definition, you can separate them more. So it's up to you. Which one do you prefer if you had to choose between elongation, like keeping the hair long and keeping it and seeing like definition of like little spirally juicy curls?
I would say definition.
No, because I mean, I'm only washing my hair once a week, so.
Okay.
You know,
What
you
if
can
you
do
were
it
like
like
the shampoo and conditioner? Do you feel like you go through your gel twice as fast?
Brush to detangle, to re-detangle. Then I'm going to push together to reclump. Then I'm going to rake. So that's how I keep elongation and brushing, because you can't brush style tight curly hair. If I just brush styled it like this, sorry, then it would bounce up. Do you see how short that is compared to this side? This side's double the length right here. So if I take this and I just brush style, I'm going to cause a lot of shrinkage, which is fine if that's what you want. But if you want to wear it elongated, you have to actually push the curls back together, pull them down, then rake them.
Okay.
Then you get longer.
I think I just need to think about when, if it's just not, it's not gonna be realistic in the morning for me, or if I'm just doing the scripts right now. Like I'm not doing
And then we get buttery, buttery, buttery all the way down. And we keep the whiteness all the way down. And then we go.
do you? And then kind of accept what you do. I like your.
And then just re-clump those ends if they need it. The same thing here.
Yeah, but it doesn't keep it as like.
I feel like my curls are worse.
Boom. Okay.
Hello. Okay, so for sleeping, if you want elongation, because sometimes what can happen is that it will shrink up. So if you want to keep it elongated, you want some silk scrunchies.
Okay.
And then you'll take in your section. So let's say you want these, you'll kind of bring everything back. Now, this will, it can like change your curl pattern a little bit. So I always tell people, try it like this and try it without.
Okay.
So you know, tonight you won't have these, but your next set you could try this.
Okay.
So you put it up and you just wrap it around once or twice. So maybe the front one you put once.
Okay.
The next one you put in twice. And then you put it in your bonnet.
Okay.
So what that's going to do is it's going to keep everything like pulled.
Okay.
Some folks like to do just around the root, right? To pull the root,
Mhm.
and then they leave their ends alone and they don't put that second one.
Mhm.
When your hair gets really long, you can put another one. But that's the best way. So you'll have two in the back and two, one on either side.
Okay.
And that's a good way to just keep them from going.
Right.
Because shrinkage is good. It means your hair is healthy.
Okay.
But it's also a choice whether you want to have it more elongated.
Right.
And you become the hairdresser,
Okay.
right? So you are your hairdresser. So you're gonna wash, set. That's it. If it feels incredibly dry and you're like, I can't handle this girl, like I don't know what's going on, which I do not think is gonna happen. But if it does, then we have some other alternative serums that are not oils and they're not butters, they're not waxes, and they're not full of silicone. So there are some options. I don't like to give those right away. It's something you kind of graduate into as your hair holds more water. We don't want to do anything that's going to block it right now.
Okay.
So we're on the kind of like someone who goes to see a you know, someone for their skin, right? Their skin looks better the day they go, but the you know, a good dermatologist would put you on a regimen,
right?
And your skin will get better and better with that time of doing the things that you're supposed to do.
Okay.
So we might be going through some adjustments, but
okay,
it's okay. And let me know if you're in a panic mode. What you can do, let's say this front goes, you know, real undefined, and you're like, I can't walk, I'm not leaving the house like this. Then re-wet them, re-gel them, and leave them alone.
All right.
Don't re-wet all the hair. Just try to do the minimum, because once you start refreshing, is what they call it, refresh your curls. Once you start refreshing, it's the downhill slope of your set.
Okay.
So the better thing to do is let your set live its best life. Let it get fluffy. Let it get more voluminous. Let it do its thing. Yes, it might be less shiny, but don't start adding water and product and water and product and water and product unless you're like, I have to leave the house.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's a moment, and you'll know when the moment is.
Okay. Yes, perfect.
You're going tonight?
No, Friday.
Okay.
So Friday night.
Okay. And then keep turning. Okay, we're gonna do that again. How you feeling?
Good.
Good. Go ahead and turn this way so your hair's in the light. And then keep turning. Ooh, beautiful. Yes, and then shake, shake, shake. Cute.